Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we are tackling a subject that I think frustrates pretty much everyone at some point.
For sure.
We all have those things we want to change, run a marathon, write a novel, finally get organized. And the default setting in our brains is usually, okay, I need to do something massive, the go big or go home mentality.
It's the standard narrative, isn't it? We convince ourselves that massive success requires massive action. If you want a revolution in your life, you need to make some revolutionary change.
Right.
But the material we are walking through today completely flips that script. It argues that real sustainable change isn't about the one-time event. It's about the compound effect of tiny decisions.
We are looking at the mechanics of atomic habits. It's effectively an operating manual for the human brain, specifically for building good habits and breaking bad ones.
Yeah.
The core premise is right there in the title. Tiny changes, remarkable results. But honestly, when I first read that, I was skeptical. Tiny changes usually feel like they result in, well, nothing.
And that is the trap. But we aren't talking about willpower or motivation here. We're looking at a system, a specific set of laws that govern human behavior. If you understand the machinery, you can hack it.
And the machinery runs on math. I was looking at the calculations provided in the research, and the numbers are just startling. We intuitively understand compound interest with money, but we rarely apply it to our own behavior.
It's the exact same principle. If you can get just 1% better each day for 1 year, you don't end up 2 or 3 times better. Mathematically, 1.01 to the power of 365 is, what, 37.78?
So you end up 37 times better.
37 times better by the time you're done.
Yeah. That is a staggering return on investment. But the data shows the inverse is just as powerful and, frankly, way more dangerous. If you get 1% worse every day, or 0.99 to the power of 365, you drive yourself almost down to absolute zero. You end up at like 0.03.
It highlights why those small errors, that just one cigarette or skipping the gym just today, are so pernicious they compound just as aggressively as the wins. Success isn't about a once-in-a-lifetime transformation. It is the product of daily habits. But the problem, and why so many of us quit, is that in the day-to-day, those 1% changes look invisible.
And this leads to a concept that I think explains every failed New Year's resolution I've ever had. The valley of disappointment.
It's a cruel place to be.
It's that gap between expectation and reality, right? We expect progress to be linear. Like, I put in X amount of work, I should see Y result immediately. But reality is curved. You put in the work, and for a long time, nothing seems to happen. You're in the valley.
But that work isn't wasted. It's being stored. Think about the ice cube analogy. Picture an ice cube sitting on a table in a freezing room. The room is, say, 25 degrees. You start heating it up slowly. 26 degrees, 27, 28.
And the ice cube is still just sitting there. To an outside observer, you are wasting your time.
Totally. 29, 30, 31. Still nothing. But then you hit 32 degrees.
Right.
Suddenly, the ice begins to melt. Now, the big question is, was it the 1-degree shift from 31 to 32 that caused the melting?
No, of course not. It was all the energy poured in from 25 to 31.
That is the plateau of latent potential. When you finally have a breakthrough, people call you an overnight success. But they didn't see the temperature rising from 25 to 31. They didn't see the stored potential.
So if you're in the valley right now, feeling like you're banging your head against a wall, you aren't failing. You're just at 31 degrees.
You're building potential. But to actually get to that melting point, we have to look at the structure of how we change. And most people are peeling the onion from the wrong direction.
The 3 layers of change. I love this visualization. You have the outer layer, which is outcomes, the middle layer, processes, and the core, which is identity.
And most people focus on the outcome. I want to lose 10 pounds. I want to publish a book. That's the outer layer.
Then they try to force the process. I will force myself to write. But they never touch the core, the identity.
True behavior change is identity change. If you focus on who you want to become, the habits they follow.
The example that stood out to me was about reading. Instead of setting an outcome goal like, I want to read a book, you set an identity goal. I want to become a reader.
It's a subtle but a massive shift. Because if you identify as a reader, you don't need willpower to pick up a book. It's just what you do. It's consistent with your self-image. The goal isn't to run a marathon. The goal is to become a runner.
Yeah.
Once you shift the identity, the behaviors are just proof of that identity.
Okay, so we've got the math, we understand the delay in results, and we know we need to shift our identity. But we need to get into the gears of the machine. How does a habit actually form in the brain?
It follows a very specific four-step pattern called the habit loop. This is how your brain automates solutions to recurring problems. It's always cue, craving, response, reward.
Let's walk through those.
First, the cue. This triggers the brain. It's what we call the problem phase. You notice something. Then, the craving. This is the motivational force. You want to change your internal state.
So the cue might be, my phone buzzed, and the craving is, I want to know who messaged me.
Precisely. Then you enter the solution phase. Step 3 is the response. This is the actual habit you perform. You pick up the phone. And finally, the reward. You see the message, your curiosity is satisfied.
And the brain says, hey, that worked. Next time the phone buzzes, do that again.
The loop is closed. Now here is the power of this framework. We can take these 4 steps and turn them into 4 laws to hack our behavior.
Let's start with Law 1, which addresses the cue. The rule is, make it obvious.
This is all about combating vagueness. Most people don't like motivation. They lack clarity. They say, I'm going to eat healthier. But that doesn't tell the brain what to do or when to do it. You need an implementation intention.
There's a formula for this, right? It's, I will behavior at time and location.
Yeah, it forces you to make a specific plan. You aren't waking up and negotiating with yourself. The decision is already made.
Another strategy to make it obvious is habit stacking. This leverages the Diderot effect, which is the idea that one purchase or behavior naturally leads to another. You buy a dress, suddenly you need shoes.
We can use that momentum. The formula is, after current habit, I will new habit. You anchor the new behavior to something you already do on autopilot.
The example in the research is perfect for a morning routine. After I pour my morning coffee, I will meditate for 1 minute.
Pouring coffee is the cue. It's already hardwired. You're just hitching a ride on that existing neural pathway.
Now, making it obvious isn't just about what you say you'll do. It's about environment design. I found the invisible hand formula fascinating. B equals F of P, E.
Behavior is a function of the person and their environment. You can have all the discipline in the world, but if your environment is fighting you, you will eventually lose.
So if I want to practice guitar, keeping it in the case in the back of the closet is just self-sabotage.
It's invisible. Make the cue visual. Put the guitar on a stand in the middle of the living room. If you want to drink more water, have the water bottle already filled and on your desk. This is primed context.
And it works for food, too. Obvious choice.
Yeah.
If healthy food is on the counter, you eat it. If it's hidden in the crisper drawer, it rots.
And conversely, you need context separation. This is crucial for people working from home. If you work in bed, your brain associates bed with email, not sleep. Don't mix contexts. Keep the sleeping space for sleeping and the workspace for work.
Okay, that covers the cue. Now we move to Law 2, targeting the craving. Make it attractive.
This is where we get into neurochemistry. Dopamine is the driver here. But interestingly, dopamine spikes during the anticipation of a reward, not just the receipt of it.
It's that feeling of looking forward to vacation, often being better than the vacation itself.
Exactly. That anticipation is the engine of action. So to build a habit, we need to spike that anticipation. We can use temptation bundling. You link a want with a need.
The formula is, after habit I need, I will habit I want.
Or even doing them simultaneously. The classic example is bundling exercise with Netflix. You only allow yourself to watch your favorite show while you are physically on the treadmill.
So the need is exercise, the want is the show. You use the attractive thing to pull you through the hard thing.
There's also a powerful social component to attraction. We are herd animals. We imitate 3 groups: the close, family and friends, the many, the tribe, and the powerful, those with status.
So if you want to build a habit, you should join a culture where your desired behavior is already the normal behavior.
Exactly. If you join a running club, running isn't something you have to force yourself to do. It's just what the tribe does. It becomes socially attractive because it signals belonging.
Okay, moving to the third part of the loop, the response. This is Law 3. Make it easy.
This taps into the law of least effort. Human behavior naturally gravitates toward the option requiring the least amount of work.
I love the garden hose analogy here. If water isn't coming out of a hose, you can try to pump up the pressure at the valve, which is like trying to pump up your motivation.
Right.
Or you can just unbend the hose.
Unbending the hose is reducing friction. It is almost always more effective than trying to force motivation. You want to make the good habit the path of least resistance.
And the ultimate way to unbend the hose is the 2-minute rule.
This is my favorite rule for beginners. Standardize before you optimize. A new habit should take less than 2 minutes to do.
But wait, the goal might be run a marathon. You can't do that in 2 minutes.
No, but you can do the gateway habit. Look at the ladder of behavior. Goal, run a marathon. Step down, run a 5K gateway habit. Tie my running shoes.
So you literally just focus on tying the shoes.
You master the art of showing up. If you can't establish the habit of putting on the shoes, you have no business worrying about the miles. Once you are in the shoes and out the door, the rest usually takes care of itself. But you have to make that start incredibly easy.
Law 4 targets the reward. Make it satisfying.
This is the tricky one because our brains are wired for an immediate return environment. Our ancestors focused on immediate survival. Eat berry, feel good, run from lion, survive.
But modern habits are usually delayed return. Bad habits give immediate pleasure, but delayed pain. Smoking relaxes you now, kills you later. Good habits are immediate effort, delayed pleasure.
So the rule is, what is immediately rewarded is repeated. We have to find a way to bring a little bit of pleasure into the immediate moment for those hard habits.
I like the visual reinforcement strategy mentioned here, specifically the paperclip strategy.
It's a great little hack. Imagine you have 2 jars. One is empty, one is full of paper clips. For every repetition of your habit, say every sales call you make, you move 1 paper clip to the empty jar.
It seems so simple, but watching that pile grow gives you immediate evidence that you are doing the work.
It closes the feedback loop. You get a small sense of satisfaction right now, which keeps you going until the delayed rewards kick in.
So those are the 4 laws to build a good habit. Obvious, attractive, easy, satisfying. But what about the bad habits? The stuff we want to stop?
You simply invert the laws. We have an inversion chart for this.
Let's run through the inversion. To stop a bad habit for the cue, law 1, instead of make it obvious.
You make it invisible. Remove the cues. If you eat too many cookies, don't just try to resist them, hide them, or better yet, don't buy them. Reduce exposure.
For the craving, law 2, instead of make it attractive.
Make it unattractive. Reframe your mindset. Highlight the benefits of avoiding the habit. Focus on what you gain by stopping, not what you lose.
For the response, law 3, instead of make it easy.
Make it difficult. Increase friction. If you watch too much TV, take the batteries out of the remote. Move the TV to a closet after every use.
Make yourself work for the bad habit. And finally, for the reward, law 4, instead of make it satisfying.
Make it unsatisfying. Add an immediate cost. Accountability partners work well here. If I miss my workout, I owe you $50. Make the pain of the bad habit immediate and tangible.
Now, even with the best systems, we are going to slip up. Life gets in the way.
Sustainability is key. And the secret to mastery isn't perfection. It's the rule of recovery. The rule is simple. Never miss twice.
Missing once is an accident.
Missing twice is the start of a new habit. If you miss a workout or eat a bad meal, don't spiral. Don't say, well, the week is ruined. Get back on track immediately. Stick to the schedule, even if the workout is bad. Preserving the pattern is more important than the performance on that one day.
And how do we keep from getting bored? Because eventually, even good habits become monotonous.
That's where the Goldilocks rule comes in. To maintain motivation and enter a flow state, you need to work at the edge of your ability.
The Goldilocks zone. Not too hard, not too easy.
If it's too easy, you're bored. If it's too hard, you have anxiety. The research suggests the sweet spot is approximately 4% beyond your current ability. That keeps you engaged and improving.
We've covered the math of 1% improvement, the 4 laws of the habit loop, and how to invert them to break bad habits. It's a lot of mechanics.
But it all boils down to that shift from goals to systems. The quote that really sums this up for me is, you do not rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems.
That is the takeaway. It's not about wishing for a result. It's about building the machine that delivers it.
Fix the inputs and the outputs fix themselves.
So, we want to leave you with a final, slightly provocative thought to chew on. If you completely ignored your goals, if you forgot about the marathon, the book deal, the bank balance, and focus only on your daily system, on that 1% improvement, would you still succeed?
I think the answer is yes. The score takes care of itself.
Go and bend your hose, put your guitar in the living room, and start compounding. Thanks for joining us on The Deep Dive.